He is living his mother's greatest and deepest dream. That is the line currently ricocheting across the internet after BuzzFeed published a deeply emotional article about Meghan Sussex's anniversary. And honestly, the reaction has exposed something the royal media machine never wants to admit. Millions of people look at Harry and Meghan and see survival, freedom, and love winning against an institution and press culture that many believe tried very hard to break them. Because this was supposed to be impossible. According to years of headlines, this marriage was doomed. Harry was trapped. Meghan was controlling. The relationship was collapsing. California was a mistake. They were isolated. They were desperate. They were finished. And yet here we are, 8 years later, watching the internet collectively lose its mind because Meghan posted affectionate anniversary photos, including kitchen kisses, family moments, unseen wedding memories, and yes, the now legendary penguin onesie selfie that has accidentally become the symbol of Harry's post-royal freedom. BuzzFeed's article focused heavily on the emotional public response to Meghan's anniversary post. People online were especially moved by one viral observation saying Harry is living his mother's greatest and deepest dream. And that sentence hit hard because it cuts through years of tabloid noise and reaches the heart of the matter. Princess Diana spent years talking about wanting her sons to experience real life beyond palace walls. She wanted emotional openness, authenticity, humanity, freedom from royal suffocation. She famously tried to expose William and Harry to ordinary experiences because she understood something deeply important. Royal privilege can become emotional imprisonment if it disconnects you from normal human existence. Now look at Harry. Not standing stiffly at ceremonial events pretending emotions are illegal, not trapped in endless palace choreography, not buried under institutional expectations. He's in California, kissing his wife in the kitchen, attending concerts, wearing friendship bracelets, hiking, laughing, and yes, apparently dressing like a penguin for reasons no historian will ever fully explain. And people can see the difference. That is what's rattling so many critics, because Harry was expected to fail outside the monarchy. The entire narrative depended on it. The public was repeatedly told he would come crawling back, miserable and broken, once separated from the royal structure. Instead, he looks relaxed. That's the scandal. The anniversary post itself was actually very simple. Meghan shared a montage celebrating their relationship, family life, and journey together. But simplicity becomes revolutionary when people have spent years insisting your marriage is a disaster. And the public reaction was fascinating because it exposed a growing divide between ordinary audiences and sections of the British media. Regular people looked at those images and saw warmth. The press ecosystem looked at those images like CIA analysts decoding enemy transmissions. Within hours, social media was flooded with emotional responses. Many people talked about how genuinely happy Harry appears compared to his royal years. Others discussed how the couple survived extraordinary pressure together. Meanwhile, some critics immediately launched into their usual routine. She's posting too much. He looks staged. They want attention. It's performative. Which is fascinating because if Harry and Meghan disappear from public view, the exact same commentators scream that they're irrelevant or hiding. The goalposts move more than a palace press secretary during a scandal. What really struck people about the anniversary tribute was how personal and goofy it felt. Not polished royal perfection, not sterile palace imagery carefully arranged by communications teams. Real life. A kitchen kiss, casual selfies, family memories, messy affection. Even the penguin costume picture became symbolic online because it represented something Harry never truly had growing up inside the institution. Freedom to be ridiculous. That matters more than people realize. Royal life is built on performance. Every gesture gets analyzed, every expression becomes news, every mistake becomes public theater. Harry himself has repeatedly spoken about how suffocating that environment became, especially after marrying Meghan and watching history repeat itself through aggressive press harassment. So, when audiences see him behaving like an ordinary husband and father instead of a permanently monitored royal asset, many interpret it emotionally. They see relief. And frankly, the media obsession surrounding these anniversary photos proves Harry and Meghan remain one of the most magnetic couples on Earth, whether people adore them or hate them. Because, let's be honest here, the same newspapers calling them irrelevant are writing 17 articles about their anniversary slideshow. One outlet even attempted to frame their anniversary as somehow lonely, despite the fact that Meghan literally described celebrating with Harry and their children privately at home. Humanity truly reached a strange point where peace and domestic happiness are treated like suspicious behavior. The anti-Sussex media cycle has become so predictable it practically deserves its own weather forecast. Morning, Harry and Meghan are desperate for attention. Afternoon, Harry and Meghan refusing public appearances raises concerns. Evening, why are Harry and Meghan breathing like that? At this point, if Meghan posted a photo of toast, somebody in the royal rota would publish a 4,000-word column about constitutional implications. But beneath all the sarcasm, there's something genuinely important happening culturally. The public increasingly recognize the disproportionate hostility Harry and Meghan faced. BuzzFeed's article revisited many of the issues that relentless tabloid attacks, racist undertones in coverage, online harassment, and Harry's repeated warnings that the press treatment reminded him of what happened to Diana. And regardless of personal opinions about the Sussexes, it is impossible to deny the intensity surrounding Meghan became extraordinary. Everything became controversy. Holding her baby bump, eating avocados, guest editing Vogue, sending text messages, breathing near flowers. The woman could probably solve climate change tomorrow, and Richard Eden would still emerge from the shadows asking why she didn't smile correctly during the announcement. So now, years later, audiences are watching this couple still standing together after surviving that storm. That's why the emotional response feels so strong. Because many people remember fearing this situation would destroy them psychologically. Meghan openly discussed suicidal thoughts during her time within the institution. Harry discussed feeling trapped and traumatized. Their interviews revealed a level of emotional distress that shocked many viewers. And yet, the anniversary photos tell a completely different story from the one critics predicted. Not devastation, not collapse, not regret. Joy. That alone undermines years of commentary. The truth is, Harry and Meghan's continued happiness disrupts a narrative industry built around their supposed failure. Every smile becomes irritating evidence. Every anniversary becomes proof. Every family photo becomes a reminder that they did not collapse under pressure. That's why even harmless posts trigger outrage cycles, because the outrage is no longer really about the content itself. It's about unresolved resentment that Harry chose a different life. And perhaps even more shocking to some people, he appears grateful he did. One of the most revealing parts of the public reaction this week was how many ordinary people described Harry as looking lighter since leaving royal life. Not richer, not more famous, lighter. That word keeps appearing repeatedly because people instinctively recognize emotional weight in old footage of Harry during his final royal years. The tension, the exhaustion, the constant pressure. Compare that to recent footage where he's joking around at concerts or walking casually beside Meghan during private moments. The difference is obvious. And I think that's what the Penguin picture accidentally captured better than any documentary ever could. Freedom often looks silly. Freedom is not always glamorous. Sometimes freedom is blurry mirror selfies and matching animal costumes with someone you love. And honestly, that image may outlive half the royal propaganda written against them because it communicates something emotionally authentic in 1 second. Harry chose joy, not duty, not hierarchy, not institutional approval, joy. That decision continues to provoke endless debate because it challenges deeply ingrained ideas about monarchy, sacrifice, obligation, and family loyalty. For some people, Harry abandoned tradition. For others, he escaped dysfunction. But regardless of interpretation, the anniversary response revealed something undeniable. Large sections of the public emotionally connect with his choice, especially younger audiences who increasingly prioritize mental health, emotional honesty, boundaries, and self-determination over institutional loyalty. That generational divide matters. Older royal culture often emphasized endurance at all costs. Younger audiences increasingly ask, but should people remain miserable just to preserve appearances? Harry answered that question publicly with his actions, and Meghan became central to that transformation because she represented an alternative worldview entering a rigid institution. Modern, American, biracial, expressive, media-savvy, independent. That combination created immediate friction inside a system built on tradition and controlled image management. Now, years later, instead of disappearing quietly, as critics expected, Meghan has built an entirely different public identity outside royal structures. Lifestyle entrepreneur, producer, podcast host, public speaker, mother, cultural lightning rod. And despite relentless attacks, people still care intensely about what she posts, wears, says, or shares. That level of attention does not happen accidentally. Even BuzzFeed, covering the anniversary reactions, shows how Harry and Meghan remain global pop culture figures beyond traditional royal audiences. They are no longer confined to palace reporting. They exist inside celebrity culture, internet culture, activism discourse, lifestyle branding, streaming media, and generational debates about power and identity. That's why the conversation around them never truly disappears. And frankly, the monarchy itself still struggles with this shift because Harry and Meghan transformed from royal supporting characters into independent global personalities. That was never supposed to happen. The institution works best when members remain inside carefully managed frameworks. Once people step outside, they become unpredictable. Harry especially disrupted expectations because he was once considered the monarchy's most relatable figure, the funny prince, the emotional prince, the rebellious prince. Many people identified with him emotionally after Diana's death, so when he later described feeling trapped and unsupported within royal structures, audiences listened differently than they would have with almost anyone else. And Meghan became intertwined with that emotional narrative. To supporters, she helped Harry heal. To critics, she pulled him away. That battle over interpretation continues today. But this anniversary response suggests public sympathy toward Harry and Meghan remains far stronger than critics often claim, because people are not emotionally reacting to palace hierarchy. They're reacting to visible humanity. A husband kissing his wife in the kitchen, children celebrating their parents, two people laughing together after surviving years of public hostility. Those images bypass royal politics entirely and land somewhere more universal. And perhaps that's what unsettles critics most. Not the interviews, not the documentaries, not the memoirs. The happiness. Because unhappy ex-royals fit the narrative better. Regret fits the narrative better. Isolation fits the narrative better. But contentment? That's harder to attack convincingly, especially when millions of viewers can look at those anniversary photos and immediately recognize genuine affection. You cannot fake ease over 8 years. You cannot manufacture that kind of comfort repeatedly without cracks appearing. And honestly, the longer Harry and Meghan remain together looking emotionally connected, the weaker years of doom predictions become. That's why every anniversary now feels symbolic. Not just romantic, symbolic. A reminder that they endured, a reminder that they left and the world kept spinning afterward despite predictions of catastrophe. And perhaps most importantly, a reminder that public institutions do not automatically own people forever simply because tradition says they should. That idea resonates far beyond royal gossip, which is why one simple BuzzFeed article about an anniversary tribute suddenly turned into a massive emotional conversation online, because beneath the celebrity spectacle, people were really discussing freedom, healing, love, family, survival, and the courage required to choose a different life, even when the entire establishment punishes you for it. Heavy themes emerging from penguin pajamas. Humanity continues to astonish me. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.